Hey, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to do our first beginning of the month Friday bonus round for season 2, and our focus today is going to be on a visual dictionary. If you've never seen one of these are very, very handy. I actually had this book I think back since 2004 when it first came out. There is a second edition that I never bought, but the screenshot that I'm giving you at the beginning will be that of the second edition. So the gray one, if you are getting either of these, the gray one is more updated. One of these days I will get it, but again, it's a $40 book. Haven't really made the time or budget for that. Not to mention this original edition does cover a lot of the ground that the second one covers too. So the second edition really only adds, I think, maybe one section or maybe 100 pages. Again, significant, but ultimately the one I've got is still quite a bit. So I just never really raced out to get the next edition. And as far as I know, the third edition has not been added anywhere. And I don't know if there's going to be a third edition because it's been 11 years since the second edition came out. And I thought it would be out by now if it's ever going to be out. So who knows? But either way, whichever edition you get, this is a really helpful dictionary to have. It's great for not only writers in general, but even those who are learning English. Because what it does is if you go to any random page here, so I went to this random page, ironically it's got mice and things, which we all know, but if you look here very carefully here, you'll find that each illustration has a label for it, and what it does is it tells you specifically not only what the item is, but it also gives you, it labels the parts. So like for a mouse, you know, we have, it's called a wheel mouse, so it's a mechanical or optical mouse that contains a scroll wheel. It's got a cable, so it labels the cable. So it's a flexible cable containing the conductors by which the mouse is attached to the computer. You got the control button, which is the left button. That's a button that transmits various commands to the computer. Then you have the scroll wheel, thumb wheel, used to scroll down the contents of a window without using a scroll bar. So now the right button is not labeled, but you can assume that that's also a control button. So that's what's, you know, for the cordless, or for the mouse with the cord on it. Then you have a wireless one next to it, or they call it the cordless mouse. Again, this is 2004, so I'm sure that more recent editions would give you a new updated version of that. So that describes that, and then there's pictures underneath that show the underside of the mouse. So there's more definitions for you if you want to know. So you have like for the old mice, you have the trackball, lock dial, cable, and then of course the newer ones with the lasers, you've got the optical sensor. So those are some examples of what you might find in that one thing. And this is just one section of an entire thick book of dictionary quality definitions. So the way the visual dictionary works is it's broken into sections. So obviously, you know, everything's by pictures, but you're not going to just randomly go, you know, A to Z looking for mice, for example. You are going to look at it based off of category. So they do have a color code chapters here, and I'm going to actually have to put this sideways because it's so top heavy. I don't want to ruin my book cover, but you can see all those color codes down there. Those are the list of chapters that are available. And if you go into each category, each category also has a time or a list of oops, it's got a pretty significant way of showing you what each category is. So this is the astronomy section, and then what you do when you go into the astronomy section, well, you have pictures of the sun and the moon. And what else do you have? You've got pictures of constellations and other things. And if you keep on going to the next chapter or next section, you go into geography. Actually, you have was it aerodynamics there, or no, aeronautics? So you have like stuff about the space shuttle, telescopes. But yeah, eventually you get into geology-based stuff, and then this is where, you know, would be chapter 2. So you can see the breakdown of different structures, and then some of the other chapters that we have in here include, and I'll just kind of do a quick rundown. All right, so you got astronomy, Earth, which is, you know, like kind of taking the step back. You have plants, animals, human beings, food and kitchen, house, do-it-yourself, gardening, clothing, personal accessories and articles, arts and architecture, communications and office automation, transport machinery, energy. Make sure I'm not. Hold on, got a page I have to unstick here. I think. Oh, never mind. Science, society, sports and games, and then each one has its own section. So, for example, within sports and games, you have sports facilities, track and field, ball sports, racket sports, gymnastics, aquatic nautical sports, combat sports, strength sports, and keeps on going. So, like if you wanted to take a look at, let's say, racket sports, so that's page 815. We'll go all the way to page 815. And you'll see some examples of racket sports beginning on the lower page here where you see the ping pong table, and some of the examples of the ping pong table. You've got badminton, racquetball, squash, tennis, and then of course you have the breakdown of the different items that they use for the sport. So that's just one example, mini, and then of course you have your index. So if you want to look for a specific item, one thing to note is the index typically will look for the parts rather than the whole. So like for example, here in the H you have helicopter hangar, then you have helicopters and examples, then you have heliostats. So like if you want all the helicopters, you have helicopter, helicopter flight deck, helicopter hangar, and helicopter examples, and then of course when you go into the actual page you'll get to see some more of the part breakdown. So that's one way to use it from the kind of bigger scale. But once again, this is what I have is the first edition, which is, I don't think you can buy that anymore. The second edition's got the gray cover. That's the one that obviously will have all of this plus more. So I do recommend you guys get that if you want something that's versatile, gives you a quick reference. If you're, let's say you're writing and you know what you can visualize what you want, but you just can't remember what it's called, but you at least you know the category. Like if it's a part of your house and you're trying to think like what is that thing that's on the that is attached to my faucet on the sink? Well, if you go look up household, kitchen, or bathroom, you can ultimately drill down to the item you're looking for. Now, not everything you're going to look for will be in here because, again, it's fairly limited. You've got 20,000 terms to work with. And so 20,000 words is a fraction of the millions that we have in English. So, yeah, you're not going to find everything you're looking for. Even in the second edition, there's going to be some limitations. I do think the second edition adds a lot more electronics and the kind of the things that you would find post 2004, so like smartphones and things like that are more likely to show up in the second edition than they will in this one. In fact, I think that is one of the things they've added that I don't have. But that's really kind of the way it works. And I just, I am a hard proponent of having hardcover dictionaries available, just because, the internet's fine. But it's so easy to change it, and with terms changing and definitions changing and things not meaning what they used to, it gets really confusing. And sometimes it's nice just to have a hard copy of something, to remind you, what it was used to be called or what it actually is supposed to be. Or maybe there's a technical term that you're not sure what the original term is called. So maybe you want to find out for accuracy, the pipe winch might be under a different name, so whatever you thought it used to be called or whatever you thought it was supposed to be called, maybe you can have the more accurate version. So that's just one way to use it. I do want to say that for those of you sensitive to certain images, there are images of weaponry, there's images of the body. There are images of clothing and just other things that may or may not be objectionable to some. So do bear that in mind when if you get the dictionary. Keep in mind that there's a reason why certain institutions don't allow it. It's not racy or anything. It's just obviously there are some things, if they're going to be comprehensive, then they have to be comprehensive, including things that may not always be standard for, let's say, child viewing. So just keep that in mind if you are of the type that needs to have your sources squeaky clean. It's not going to be squeaky. So anyway, trying to think what else is important here. It's a thick dictionary. Make sure you have room for it on your shelf. Again, I don't recommend digital of any. I'm not even sure if they have a digital version, and if they do, there's something about having the laminate page available. It's also just an easy reference to go take to under a light and find it with your finger and all that. But yeah, I think dictionaries in general are important to have when you're a writer, and I think the visual dictionary is just a great way to find that thing you can't think of how to look for it usually. Because if you don't know what something's called, then how are you going to look it up in the dictionary? So this is a way to kind of reverse your research on how to find those items. And I mean, if you get stuck, if there's like a unique item that you just can't find in print, you can always go online, look for an industry where that item specializes in it, or specializes in that item, and then sometimes you can find labels. It's just a little extra work to find the names of parts that way, and they're not always accurate or complete. So that's why I say it's a good idea to have like a more curated list. But again, if you're looking for specialty, then you're probably not going to find that much specialty here because again, it's got room for 900 pages. Second edition, I think, is maybe 1,000. You're still going to be limited in what the pages can offer. So I say this is a great beginning if you do need something more nuanced. But either way, whether again you're a seasoned writer or you're second language looking to get better at your first at English, then I highly recommend it. And then the other thing to bear in mind too is there are different versions of the visual dictionary. So if you are a second language learner, there's one that's designed, I think, for Spanish to English. So it has both the English and the Spanish words next to the graphic. So keep that in mind if you are not interested in writing fiction or anything like that, but you do want to write better prose that's more accurate to the language you're writing in, and you're just not sure what the Spanish version is called or the English version is called. It can go either way. That's another quick trick you can use if you get the Spanish to English version. And I'm not sure what other languages they have as far as dual languages go, but it's worth looking up. If you go to Amazon, I'm sure you'll find some examples of that. So anyway, that's the visual dictionary. It's pretty straightforward. Not going to overcomplicate it today. I will be back in a month, early December, for another dictionary that I really like. So I'll give you that overview then. It's kind of in a similar design, except there's no pictures, but it is a dictionary that makes it really easy to find things by categories. So I'll show that to you guys next month. Once again, it's going to be every first Friday of the month until season 3. So and if you missed my video last time, which I think a lot of you have because my view count's still very low, the plan for the rest of season 2 is I'm going to have 5 bonuses. So that'll end in, I think, in March of 2022 will be the final season 2 video. Season 3 will begin probably no sooner than May or June, because I need to clear my head. It's a lot to read, and a lot of it is familiar to me already, so I feel like it's kind of redundant. But so I'm kind of at the point where I'm reading a lot of the books I'm reading just so I know what's in it, so I can tell you guys about it. The other thing too is I still have to get the books, and honestly, I think we need a break. My view count, I think, has proven that we're all kind of got the point, and so I want a chance to kind of recharge for all of us, not just for me, but for you guys too. So there will be a significant break between the last bonus and then the beginning of season 3. So if you missed the last video, just that's what you missed. So, well, that and a good book, you should read. You go back and watch it. I mean, seriously, it's a good book. You should learn something of it. So anyway, all right, that's all for today, and see you guys with the next Writer's Bookshelf in December. Have a good holiday season coming up if you're American, and if you're not, happy shopping. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.